Okay, so this is a quick overview of a crosscut sled that I'm working on, and I'll show you kind of where it's based off of. I'm using the Kreg top track that I use for my miter stand, but these can be used for a number of different applications. And I think all of you guys know what that is. You can cut your parts, get exact lengths, and these are just boxes made out of MDF with a fence. And this fence is just screwed in the back. It gets really repeatable, accurate work. And I just took one of these top tracks because I'd seen another guy use them, and it's a really good product. And kind of blended it into my own crosscut sled. And this is kind of what I got going. It's a pretty big sled. It's one of the larger ones that I had seen as far as size goes. This should let me cross-cut a 30-inch piece of plywood, which would be pretty good for any size cabinet that I'm building. Usually we wouldn't go much bigger than that, and if they did, I can always freehand it, normally with a fence. Basically, I did it out of 3/4 inch plywood. A lot of people do it out of MDF. I just don't like MDF for screwing stuff. Might be a little bit more stable than plywood, but I think this is more friendly for screwing and bolting the fiberboard once you pocket or create holes in it. It's just not as strong. I also went with 3/4 instead of 1/2 inch because I need to do some slightly different fastening, and the extra depth gives you a lot more options. A little bit heavier, and that's why I cut an angle on this guy to hopefully reduce a good percentage of the weight on it, and it did. And I think it's also kind of a nice design idea. So anyways, these are 2 pieces of plywood. Probably wondering why I cut them in 2. My plan is, and hopefully it works, is that I wanted to have a removable throat plate, or if you will, a removable plate in here in full length. Although I might do 3 parts, do it upper and a lower, and just replace the middle. I think I'm just going to go with a full length, because once you cross cut into it and come back to the fence, you're almost halfway there anyways. But I want a removable plate, and I've already marked out I've got to do a 1/2 inch rabbet here and a 1/2 inch rabbet here, and then I'll use a 1/2 inch piece of probably solid wood or plywood and have that set inwards. And what this will allow me to do is to slide in new pieces and then screw them down. I'll put some threaded inserts into here as I do it, so whether I'm doing a mitered 45, mitering a box together, or it's just simply cross-cutting, or if I put a dado stack in there, it's going to change the width, and this way it'll allow me to keep very accurate options for zero clearance inserts, so I'm never having a big chunk taken out of it for a different type of cut, and then I go on it and there's just no more zero clearance. That's my plan anyways. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to route in the back part of here, and then or cross cut this on a dado stack, and then have a plate that comes up here so that I have a zero clearance back as well, which is really helpful so you don't get tear out. I'm not sure. I think I'm either going to do threaded inserts or I'm going to do rare earth magnets. I'm leaning towards threaded inserts. So my fence is made out of a piece of cherry. It's actually a laminated piece of cherry. I really didn't want to use a nice piece of wood this thick and this big for just a fence, but I did want something more stable than just a piece of plywood, or a little bit stronger rather than a piece of plywood. So I did glue it up and mill it, but it should be pretty good. Then I'm going to put I'm going to put the T-track on the top, and I just rabbited the back of this so that, because this thing only can take a 7/8 thick piece of wood between the guide here, that's the max you can do, so just rabbit it in. It'll get screwed in the back, and then this is going to give me an adjustable stop, and I can move this. And I will have a couple inches, I think about 12 inches on this side of the blade, and at least 30 inches plus on this side, which is a nice repeatable cut to have. I think it's even more than that by the time it's done, depending on how I divided it. And that's pretty much it. My plan is for the inserts, and I didn't buy the pre-made inserts. One, I saw some of them that people gave bad reviews saying that they weren't very accurate, and 2, they're really expensive. They're like 20 bucks, 30 bucks a piece for each piece. Now if you go on McMaster and you get, any of you guys work with metal or aluminum, even if you're a woodworker, it's very easy to work with. You can cut this stuff down with your woodworking blades, a nice new blade. And this is 3/8 by 3/4 inch T6 6061 aluminum bar stock. I drilled a couple holes, probably more than you actually need, but I went with more rather than less in case the plywood, see how the fit goes. But I drilled and tapped these to 1/4 and I'm going to drill a hole in these and set them inward, but I'm going to use just a 1/4 20 button head, stainless button head screw come through the plywood and into this tapped hole. And I'll have a clearance hole so that I can adjust these depending on how tight this slide is. But these go right into the T-track. They sit in really nice. That's the plan anyways. And there's no adjustment. And they only cost, I think they only cost 15 bucks for a 6-foot bar, which is a heck of a lot less. To drill a couple holes is really easy. You just mark them with the dicum and scribe, drill, tap, and you save a lot of money. Little weekend project. It's not like it's a job where you can justify just putting the material on it. It's something you want to try to do cheaper. So anyways, I think that the whole setup is probably going to cost me about $100 with the plywood, and nice plywood. The aluminum, this T-track is like 30 bucks, and this stop is 20 bucks, so max 100 bucks, which is real nice. And these bars will go on here, one on each side. Those are just my lines for the holes. Should be real nice for crosscut, repeated cut, zero clearance insert. And then, oh, forgot to say, unless I find a nicer piece of wood, I'm just going to put a piece of poplar on the other side, and that'll hold that together. Like I said, there's going to be an insert here set in. Should look pretty sweet when it's done. But hopefully you guys like it. Okay, so another day, making good progress on this sled. Finally got back to using it, and I thought I'd make another update video. This will all be included in the same video log, and kind of show you midway. Got the table saw sled put together. It's coming together really nice. The fence is screwed on to both bottom pieces. I ended up leaving about a 1/16 inch reveal. I figured that if I had to adjust it, it wouldn't be any more than that. I can't imagine that I was that far off. Hopefully I'm not. Fingers crossed there. So this guy is screwed in with Kreg pocket screws underneath, some 1.5 inches, I think. And I've now rabbited the inside here to accept an insert, which is a 1/2 inch piece of MDF. I was going to go with 1/4 inch, but 1/2 inch it'll be a little bit stronger and just sit in. And this is a matching rabbet. It sits a little bit lower than the top. I found that it was too tight originally. So I've got these drilled, and I've got to countersink them. I'm going to end up using some stainless fasteners. Let me show you. This is the fastener I'm using. It's a stainless flathead cap screw. It's a 1032. And then I've got 1032 inserts, if it'll focus. It's about a 1/2 inch long. So basically, I'm drilling the the on-size hole for these. And the way I did it is I drilled them here and I marked them out in my insert. I did about 3 of them at the same time because I'll have one for data, one for 45, and then one for just a straight line crosscut. Well, that's my plan anyways. And so I drilled them in here first, and then I transferred them with your centering, get those guys out, your drill center set. I just tapped them in, and should be pretty darn close. This hole is a clearance hole anyways. So that'll put the guy in. I thought about just leaving this loose because it was kind of tight, but I would want to bolt this on. If I ever end up cutting this thing down the middle, it's going to fall inward. And it might even do it still. I'm still not 100% sure if this will work out 100%, but my plan is to keep it like this, and also I'm going to eventually rabbet out. I've got to start cutting stuff today, so I'm going to start using it, but I'm going to cut out a rectangle here, rabbet out, pocket out a rectangle, and then put a vertical piece on here so that when it comes back, it butts in with the vertical piece that's also changeable. Because once you cut a 45 or a dado or something in here, it's going to pocket out this fence over time, and you're going to lose your zero clearance. So you want zero clearance here and here, so you get real nice clean cuts. So that's that. I put the poplar piece in the end. That just ended up working. I cut this thing on an angle and put some nice radiuses on it so it's real smooth. It's a little bit heavy. It's on the heavier side, which is actually a good thing. A lot of people said that they don't like heavy table saw sleds, but I actually do. I think the weight actually, it helps. It really does. It weighs the whole thing down. I think if it was 1/2 inch, it'd be a little bit too floppy. And because this is in Baltic birch, and I will finish this, I will put at least 2 coats of lacquer on this to protect it, because I have a lot of moisture in my basement. So anyways, I'll show you real quick how I can set this camera up. I've drilled the holes here. You can see my insert, and I've got my handheld expert wrench, and I'm just going to insert it and they go in pretty easy. I found just the right size. It's not like ideal for strength, being so close to the edge with one of these, but for what it is, I'm just screwing down this throat insert, and there's nothing real fancy about it. So there's the guy, and that's how they sit in there. These are really helpful for woodwork. I was thought about using screws originally, but then I said, you know what? Got to go with the threaded inserts, because over time you're going to wear the heck out of it just changing throat plates out. So I'll just put in one more. They go in really easy if you get the right size drill bit. Just the perfect size diameter drill bit, and it goes in like butter. And they sit a little bit proud, which is actually nice because it gives them a nice surface for this throat plate to sit on, but they sink in with it being wood, and you can see it'll break off a little bit, but it's got some pretty coarse threads on it, so it should hold it just fine. So I put 4 on either side, probably overkill, but not too much. It's a pretty large sled. What else? The other guys are bolted down. I've seen other guys screw these aluminum pieces in from underneath. I never liked that because you can't adjust it very easily. You have to flip it over and flip it. It seemed really cumbersome, so I pocketed these downward, and they're countersunk, so to speak, or counterboard rather, and they're just button head cap screws, so that you sit here with the T-wrench and you can put them in. So I put in 2, one on either side, put in 2 here, and then adjusted it so that this is real smooth now. And I think what I know what I'm gonna end up doing is putting UVA that slick tape underneath this, not even carpet tape, but that real nice plastic vinyl tape underneath this to give it a nice, because it's real aggressive right now, it's real mechanical, and I want it real smooth. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to put the plates in, square up the fence. I'm going to have to adjust it a little bit. It's going to be off something. I'm not that good. And then this fence will go on here, this Kreg fence, which I'll show you. This guy just screws on from the back. It's real easily installed. Oops. Doo-doo-doo. On the wrong way. Yeah, so that guy goes on there. And it's a real nice finish to this sled. And then I'll put the tape on here. Once I get it cut, you know, I can see where my cut line is. And it is going to be sweet. I would imagine in the future that I'm going to put some slots in here for some kind of hold down, so that I can do 45s and other different angles, and just throw an auxiliary sled on top of this, so I never have to make another sled. And then I can just take out the throat plate, so I don't make any other ornate cuts to it. Even though it'll be straight, I could leave it in too. And the auxiliary sled that'll go on top of this, which will be pretty basic, will take all the cuts. So that's it, and I'll show you a little video of it in action once I get it all working.